What does freedom mean to you? The freedom to fly, the freedom to move. In today's modern world, freedom is scarce. Feel free with the newest addition to the Corvette R15 lineup, the Premier Edition. Featuring all-new spoiler, twice the horsepower of previous models, and orange Go Faster stripes. The Premier Edition, available now. What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and sorry for that. When I saw the world that this ship came delivered in, I couldn't help myself but thought I had to produce it like that. So as you can probably guess, this is another ship from the Planets competition, another quick showcase on this particular entry, but also at the end a showcase on a script that I noticed on the workshop that I think would go perfect with this, but is also so helpful that I cannot believe it's got so little exposure. So first up, let's dive in and I'll show you a little bit what the Corvette R15 Premier Edition is all about. So as you can probably tell, this is designed to be a VTOL craft. So if we jump in here, we have the controls on our toolbar as you would expect, and on the sides there we've got a couple of currently downward facing thrusters. And to take off, it's very simple. We just increase our thruster override up to about 3000. So at this point we're just going to slowly rise off the ground. Go outside, you can see what this looks like. It looks cool even at this point. It's slowly going to lift us up, and if we turn it down a little bit we can probably stabilize our flight there. And then the next thing we're going to do is move into sort of full hover mode, whatever you want to call that. So in order to do that, we are going to increase our thruster force, we're going to turn the thrusters, and we're going to turn off the thruster that's on the front acting as our inertial dampers. And there we go, we're off hovering away. Now, while visually this ship is very pleasing, I quite like it, looks the part most certainly, and certainly when you include it into its own showroom and so on. The thing I find most clever about this particular design is how well it actually functions. Because anybody who's tried this sort of hover type design before will know that you've got multiple grids on here. So if I stop us for a second, if I can just turn off these forward thrusters, go back to the usual mode. So you need a little bit more just so we can hover here. Usually the problem with these is entirely to do with centre of mass. So if we go in here, you can see this ship actually has 6 different centres of mass, and getting those things to all behave together in Space Engineers is quite difficult. You need to balance them very carefully, because otherwise, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with, when you turn a ship around that's got another grid attached to it, they kind of lag behind and pull you around funny ways. And so just being able to do this sort of turning action as smoothly as I am, and equally up and down, all this stuff without that sort of different centre of mass causing issues, is really impressive. Not just that, but the other thing I really like about this is if you turn it onto this mode and get the thrusters turned up, it will hover on its own without anybody in it, which I just think is awesome. I think we need to turn the fronts off as well, but you've got to remember this is under the force of gravity, and it will tilt like that, and I think I've pointed it a little bit too far downwards. Sorry Eddie, I know it can hover on its own, but perhaps that's not the best way of demonstrating it. Trust me, however, this thing will hover without a pilot in it, and it will also make quite a bit of a mess because it will leave its thrusters on. But it is very well balanced, very cool design, and I love the little showcase world he put it all in. But the other reason why I wanted to showcase this one in particular, with its strangely floating centre of mass there, let's turn that back off again, is because I found a script on the workshop that is woefully underexposed for how useful it is. This is such a useful little script. So if we head over here to the version of the Corvette that I've done up in true Wasted Space colours, because yeah, I kind of had to, we have a programming block on here hidden, tucked right into the back. And what this is going to enable us to do is, instead of all that messing around with turning up and down thruster override and things like that, we're going to be able to use that programming block to set specific values that we want these things to turn to. So as an example, we go into the control panel, we can find the programming block here, and you can see this is the very clever MoveIT script by Brenner. I cannot believe this hasn't come along before now. I believe there was some changes to the code that made this possible, but I've been waiting for this for such a long time. It's such a good idea, and it's been very well executed. So all we need to do, get this from our workshop, we've subscribed, it will appear here, and we can double click on it to bring it into this window. And then we click remember and exit, and that will save it, and then everything on that side of things is set up. The other thing we need to look at is these groups we've got here. So I know that T, This is the thrusters that are on the side of the ship at the moment, just about holding it in this hover position. You know, if we were to turn these off, this ship's going to sink, but those thrusters are just enough to hold it here. But in order to get there, we have to spam on this key loads and loads to adjust it. So instead, what we can now do is take this programming block, drag it to the bar, select run, and then in this argument box, we're going to put the name of the group or the thing we want to adjust. So in this case, it's just T. But if it was something more complicated, say we wanted to put small thruster in there, then we put it in double inverted commas like this, and you'd put your small thruster 1. Not going to do that this time because that's not, but just as an example. And then you just simply put the amount you want that thruster to go to. So for thruster override, you want the amount it's going to jump straight to. And as you can see, we're about 3,000 here. That's 3,000 kilonewtons. So we can just put T3000 in there. And that's all set up and ready to go. So if I now, let's go and set this thrust back down to nothing. So we're going to come down onto the ground, and all I'm going to need to do to put this up with a single press is press 7. And you can see that's immediately moved all of our thrusts to 3,000 now. So I can lift this up, and this will now go back completely to continuing hovering. And if I was to turn these off again, you're going to drop back down. And what we can then do is combine that with a timer block to, and as I have set up on this second bar here, completely get rid of all those buttons. And instead, on this version of the craft, we've just got 2. We've got 5 and 6. We got 5 to put us into sort of floating mode, and 6 to go into race mode. So we're currently in 5. I can press 5. That's going to hold us here, set all the values for us. You can see this is actually set to 2,400 for the kilonewtons. That's the perfect balance point. And then when we want to go forwards fast, we just press 6, and it's going to make all of those changes for us all at once. So you can see we've gone to full thrust. It's also changed the angle on all of those rotors to the correct position. And then when we're done with this, press 5. All the rotors are going to go back to the same position. It's going to turn the thrust back down to our hover thrust. And what you can't see is it's also turning on and off those thrusters on the bottom there. So if we go to 6, you can see those are also getting turned off by the group. Turn it on, everything goes back to normal positions. And this script can be used to control gyros, it can control gravity, it can control thrusters, it can control rotors, all sorts of cool functionality to it. And I really thought it was a bit of a crime that honestly it's got so little interest. So please guys, go and check out this script. I'd love to see what you guys can come up with. I've certainly got a whole bunch of ideas for this now I've seen it. So Brenner, that's an amazing little script design you've come up with. And equally, Eddy, I do love your Corvette R15 Premier edition. This thing is just fun. So I recommend you guys go and check this out as well. It might not be the most complex design, but without a shadow of a doubt, a lot of thought went into getting this to work just right. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. Another planet competition spotlight. Will not be the last, but I am now very much getting close to the point where I can announce the subcategory winners and get you guys voting on what is going to be the final prizes, the big grand prizes. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Otherwise, thanks a lot for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please hit like, please hit share. It really helps me and the channel out. And I will catch you next time.